Marriage is not hard. Don't believe the lie that most people say that the first 3 years of marriage is hard. You got to work hard to be married. No, marriage can be made easy. In this week's podcast, we're going to share with you how your marriage can be made easy. If you want to live life with an easy marriage, if you want to live life with marriage as it's supposed to be, then check out this podcast.
No matter what. Welcome to another episode of Win as One, Gospel Love Edition. I am Afiance.
I'm Caitlin.
All right, Aramis, sit down, Pastor Dick.
It's been a long day, guys. I don't know if it's the weather outside, but my goodness. Yeah. So today we actually wanted to get more and we'll dive more into our Coffee in the Morning Club and why that is so important. So, Papa D, why don't you kick us off and let us
Well, I want to pick up from where we left off last week, talking about the importance of community. You tie that in with becoming. You tie that in with being a blessing. You tie that in with believing. All of these things matter. And so our Coffee in the Morning Club is about creating a communal environment so that marriages, which is the most important institution on the planet, the first institutional structure that God created was the marital institution. It is the most important, and it's the determining factor to how society becomes what it is. And so we want to impact the marriages within our communities so that the communities can be different. When we really look at it, we're talking about not just impacting a marriage or relationship between a husband and a wife, but we're talking about impacting the relationship between a community and the citizens of that community. So when you really get to the root of society, it starts with the marriage. And so the idea behind community has always been in the forefront of God's mind, was to create a community. And the people within that community would believe the same, they would speak the same, they would think the same, they would act the same, so that you can have a harmonious society. And when I say speak the same, I'm not talking about robotically imitating, but it's the essence of how they think and how they live and what they believe is mutual. It's the same. So there'll always be different expressions because of the different personalities that we have. But the idea of community is so important. And the Coffee in the Morning Club is a community where you're going to be able to engage other couples that are of a mind to master marriage and master husbandry and master wifery and master the mechanics of marriage and master the skills of sexuality and master the skills of establishing a culture of love. So all of these things will go into that community, and there's so much to share that, I'm sure there was, morning meetings and the duration of time that we've allotted.
Or has been allotted us.
Right. There's been a lot of us, right. And associated with the days.
and it was wise. First of all, I'm just putting it out there that the threes have come to an agreement.
I'm glad I was by myself this morning when I did the radio show with Brother Charles.
Oh, really?
I got to cut loose. I had nobody looking at me all funny saying, you can't say that, and you're giving too much away. Oh, it was just beautiful.
Well, people go ask. How long did it end up being?
Oh, actually, it ended up being 32 minutes, like it was supposed to.
He did it in 32?
You know why?
It was supposed to be 32.
This is training ground right here. That right there.
Excuses.
This is training
Well,
ground.
I mean, if I'm completely honest about it, Charles did take the time.
Okay.
So, I wasn't in control of how long.
I'm very surprised you're giving up a W right now.
It's still a W. I ain't giving it to you. I still won. I'm just telling you why I won. The dub belongs to me. That ain't going nowhere.
That belongs to me.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. So I have a question.
Yeah.
So how would you, can you talk about the difference between being a student and being a disciple? Right? Because we're going to go into Jesus's community that he built, but it started with the 12 disciples, right?
Right.
And a lot of people nowadays, I'm not sure if they differentiate the two.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. When you look at our educational structure and the idea of a student, it doesn't even come close to the biblical idea of discipleship. Students in our educational structure is just about gathering as much information as you possibly can, right? The idea of discipleship, though, is mastery. See, the end of discipleship in Jesus' mind, biblically speaking, is mastery. That's why after Jesus took a seat, everything was about y'all sound like him, y'all look like y'all doing what he did. You talking like he talking, you hear like he. So it was about mastery. Right. So discipleship is God's mechanism to lead you, bring you from wherever you are into mastery. When you think about the concept of students, it's just a matter of, getting as much information in that one season, first grade, as you possibly can, passing all your exams and moving on to the next level. Right. I don't care about whether or not I remember the concepts or the principles that I'm taught. I don't care about mastering the concepts or principles that I'm taught. I'm just trying to get through first grade, second grade, third grade. So the idea of being a student is doesn't even compare to the idea of discipleship as it speaks to the essence of discipleship. It's about wanting to know you, wanting to get inside of your mind, wanting to know your heart. That's why God was so turned on about David. He said he was a man after my own heart. See, the prerequisite for becoming the king God wants you to be is to want to get inside of the heart of God, want to get inside of the mind of God. Yeah. The idea of students don't even come close to that. But discipleship, man, I want to know how you think. I want to know how you move. I want to know how you speak. I want to know why you do that. I want to understand why you think like this. I want to know every aspect of you. It's tied closely to the word we introduced last week of beholding. That's what discipleship is all about. It's about Jesus demonstrating, or marriage mastery couples, other couples who mastered marriage, demonstrating the process, the how-to, the way to go, the mechanism, the methodology into marriage mastery. But you then taking a position of the one of the words that describe the word disciple in its original language is the idea of a lifetime learner. Mm-hmm. Like you're longing to learn. Right. You're longing to learn, right? We introduced this thought several weeks ago when we talked about our Marriage is Easy campaign. Marriage is easy for a specific reason. We quoted the scripture that says, Jesus said, "My yoke is easy, my burden is light." Mm-hmm. But what did he say before that? He said, "Learn of me. Come unto you, all you who are every day, learn of me. For my yoke is easy, my burden is light." So what is it that makes marriage easy? Depending on what you've learned. Right. If you've learned that marriage is hard, if you learned that marriage is, grueling, if you've learned that you got to work hard at it. See, that's another thing we're gonna drop on in a minute. I don't believe you're supposed to work as hard at building a marriage as most folks. Man, you got to work hard to build a marriage. No, who told you that?
Well, I have a question about that because that was actually a thought for my second question, which is the disciples that walked with Jesus. They had to have seen a level of mastery that Jesus had that caused them to believe or have faith that they could prosper from learning and walking with him, right? And
remember when Jesus said this? He said, "If you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you shall in no wise be able to follow after me." They say that it's remembered because it's John's Gospel, 6th chapter, verse 66, which is 666, right? Mm. So they said the folks said, "Man, this is too hard, man. We can't follow this." And they say a bunch of them folks left. Mm. He then looked at Peter and said, "You gonna leave too?" Peter said, "No, we ain't going nowhere." It's just because you got the words of life. You have the words of life. We ain't going anywhere, right? So to touch that, what was the question you should have?
Well,
you said they had to recognize something, they had to see something, right, that made them want that, right? They saw something that the other ones didn't see who left, right? And it's the same way when you enter into the community. See, I really believe this, whatever you're looking for when you go to the Word of God, or when you come to our Coffee in the Morning community as it relates to marriage, you'll find it. If you're looking for marriage master, you'll find it. If you're looking to be a better husband, you'll find it. But if you're looking to, stay where you are, stay like you are, then you won't have the impact. It won't have the impact on you. But if you're hungry, and see the way we do things, I'm either drawing you or driving you. This is just what it is. Either what I'm saying you're gonna draw to, or what I'm saying you're gonna be like, what is he talking about? That stuff, man. So And listen, you want to go, God bless you. You want to hang out, you're going to be blessed. This is what it is. I'm sorry, you saying something.
So I guess I was looking to kind of get into the mind of the disciple and what exactly it was that they saw in Jesus, because I know for me,
listen, I'm gonna tell you what they saw. Oh, this thing is so good. Oh,
it's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Listen, this thing's so good. What they saw.
He's about to go off.
Oh, listen, they'll be okay. Listen, what they saw was so mesmerizing.
Mm-hmm.
They said, never man spec like that. We never seen it done on this way. They saw a man's man.
Right.
They saw the most masculine, rugged. They saw a man doing the things that a man was designed to do. We was talking earlier in the interview, and Charles was talking about, how does one get drawn to the Lord to have that intimacy first with the Lord before they have with their spouse. Mm-hmm. I said, first we got to get rid of this religious Jesus that our traditional white Christian evangelical traditionalists have presented. We got to get rid of that, because that's not the Jesus in the Bible at all. I'm talking about a man's man. I'm talking about a dude that, look, he come up in the place, and if it ain't right, he go get a whip. And if you want to jump back, then we're gonna deal with it. Let's talk. Let's go outside and talk. You want to do something? No, we're talking about a man that when the Pharisees come to him asking him silly questions like, "Why don't your disciples wash their hands before they eat?" Man, I don't care nothing about that, man. It ain't what you put in your body that defile you. What's come out of the body. Disciples come and says, you know what you said to him offended him. Man, I don't care. I don't care. They blind leaders of the blind anyway.
Oh my God.
I don't care nothing about that.
Right.
Listen, every plant that my father did plant is getting uprooted. You're talking about somebody that didn't care. See, they saw masculinity at its finest.
His stature was even way different than what they portrayed.
Listen, he was about 6 feet, about 185 pounds, I say.
But he was a carpenter.
So you know what that meant. I mean, he was built up good.
He was rocked up.
Yeah, he was built up good. He was built up good. He's talking about six-pack, biceps, shoulder, I had it all. He was a stud. He was a stud, man.
Well, some people said that he was average looking though. Like it was nothing really.
I know.
Oh.
We call them religious people. He wasn't average looking. He was a stud. He wasn't average looking.
I know what they say.
I know. That's exactly what the religious folk.
Right.
But the culture dictates. See, when we think carpenter, we think people who come and lay rugs. No, that wasn't what it was. He was chopping down trees, sawing trees, shaping trees, sculpting trees. You do that long enough, and he was the best. He was the best in the town. He was known as the carpenter. Right. He was the best. Yeah. He wasn't walking around there wimpy and skinny. No, they saw a man's man. That's what attracted them.
Right.
Man, I love me some Jesus.
Right. Because
he's a man's man. He's a king. He's a conqueror.
More so than that, though, right? There had to have been a way. So this is how I connected the thought. I wanted more time around you because you made the faith look effortless, right? So in that respect, there had to have been a way that Jesus lived his life. It wasn't just what he said. It was the way that he walked, lived, performed, and all that had to have drawn them, right?
Right. No, exactly. I mean, part of that was his stature. Part of that was his swag. We would call it nowadays. Part of that was his aura. Part of that was his willingness to look the religious community in the face and tell them like it was. See, they were looking for a leader. They were waiting for someone to come and take them from what they were into where the promises of God said they were going to take them. That's what they were looking for. They were waiting for somebody who was going to come and turn the tables over in the synagogue. They were waiting for somebody who was going to do everything but if it means overthrowing the religious order and the government of Rome. They were looking for somebody to come. Right. And John said, "Behold, the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world." He saw it, right? All of that went into them being attracted and drawn. On top of him now making Peter and his boys millionaires because he blessed their fishing business, right? And just one act of power and authority, speaking to the winds and all that stuff. You see that stuff now that you follow folks.
That's right.
You follow too. You know what I'm saying? You
get some calling these 60-mile-an-hour winds. Somebody gonna have to hear what you gotta say, right? That's true.
All of those things go into why the disciples was attracted to him, because again, he came as a king. He came as an entrepreneur. He came as a man. He came as a man of God with the power and authority to get things done in their day. The community And see, that's what marriages need to, that's what people who are married need to see. That's what's going to, our gospel love movement and our coffee in the morning community, we're going to combat, we're going to come against this divorce culture. We're going to destroy all of the impact and influence that a divorce culture can have on a couple. And we're going to bring them into a community where love is edified, where meekness is edified, where authority is granted, where women are seen as not as less than, but just as much as or more than. We're gonna empower wives to be wives and husbands to be husbands. That's what the community is all about. Mastering the particular skill set required of a husband and a wife. Loving, like Jesus was a lover like they had never seen before. So all of these things is what attracted the masses. And these will be the same things that they'll see within our Coffee in the Morning community. They'll attract the masses to the point where we got this thing where we say, what is our campaign says, nobody gets married to get divorced. Ain't nobody getting married to get divorced.
Right.
But if you don't put yourself in the right community, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
So I have a question. What do you think make Coffee in the Morning Club different from other morning meetups that may be happening concerning marriage?
Well, on top of everything I just said, on top of everything I just said, it's the aspects of understanding the precepts of marriage, which most folks don't understand. Like most people, they begin with the concept, they never get down to the precepts of marriage. They don't know what it means, what a blood covenant has to do with marriage. They don't understand what a culture of love means. They don't understand what the oneness is all about. They don't even understand the purpose of marriage, right? So I really believe, first and foremost, it'll be the spirit of love that's prevailing within the group. Then the content and the insight and the revelation that is going to revolutionize the way you think. And we understand that as one thinketh in his heart, so shall they be. It's just going to be the spirit, the content, and then the connections that you can make within the community. Right? We're talking about people who have a mind to win. Not people who can care less whether or not they win at marriage. Not people who can care less whether or not they're enough to be a husband like they want. Not women, wives who can care less whether or not they're not being wives that they're supposed to be. See, these are the things that's going to make the outcomes of those who engage in that community significant, right? You're going to be able to see the change and transformation as you behold. You'll be able to see it. And that's what it all comes down. The payoff of these for the couples who join the community is astronomical as it relates to where they are to where they'll be. Right? I just don't know of any other marriage communities that has that. I mean, I could be wrong.
We were talking about this last night, loving competitively.
Right.
You ever heard that?
Like how many people talk about that? Like, cause that's what I'm talking about. Like people don't think like that.
Not at all.
But it was designed. Jesus, listen. You weren't gonna outlove him. He wasn't gonna let you outlove him. He wasn't gonna do it. The Bible says, how does it say? It says, it says, we take the spirit of it all throughout the scripture. You take what when God told Abraham to leave your house. Then what you had there, it ain't compared to what I'm gonna give you. Jesus said, the works that I do, you're gonna do the same thing. Right? Like when you understand the essence of salvation, you just, his goodness surpasses everything that you can do. He just ain't gonna let y'all love him.
So I want you to actually get into some of the outcomes of being a part of a community. So can you touch on that a little bit?
So specifically speaking to the Coffee in the Morning community, I think the three most important things is like believing is the essence of life, to living life, right? Believing is so powerful that God's whole existence, his whole world is dependent upon believing. Like you can't know God, the kingdom of God. You can't understand the concepts of life that God has called you without believing. And I'm not talking about this mental assent that most folks get engaged in. I'm talking about really believing from the heart, with the heart man believing, not the right, with the mouth confession made unto salvation. I'm talking about believing from the inside. See, when you really believe, things will change. Things will change without you having to try to make them change. When you really believe, your language will change. Your thinking will change. Your behavior will change. When you really believe. Like all this other stuff that people go through, talking about they believe, nothing changed about their life, they ain't believing. They just mentally agree. They just mentally agree with something they heard, right? But that thing didn't get down on the inside of them. Believing is something that gets down in your belly. It gets down on the inside of you, and it changes you, it transforms you. There becomes a living organism down on the inside of you that propels itself through you, and how you speak and how you think and what you say, like all that stuff. That's believing. Well, what our Coffee in the Morning community will do, it will encourage you, it will empower you to believe, because once you have heard all your life that marriage is hard and it's gonna be hard the first 3 years and can't nobody have a great marriage and blah 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 blah. You heard all that stuff, that gonna put you in a position of disbelief. Mm-hmm. But when you start hearing things that marriage is easy,
right?
That you can have a magnificent marriage, that I love being married, like that I love loving. You don't hear people talking like that, but that's what it takes for you to have the marriage that God intended for you to have and that you desire to have. It takes these things, and part of what we're going to be able to present to couples who connect in our community is a whole different perspective of what it means to be a lover, what it means to be a husband, what it means to be a wife, what it means to be married. So believing is critical. Now, once you believe right, now you begin to talk right. Right? Most people don't talk properly to their spouse because they don't believe they're supposed to talk properly to their spouse. I can talk to you however I want to. You can't tell me what to do. Right? Because they haven't been trained, they haven't been taught, they haven't seen this growing up. Yeah. So they believe right, and they start speaking wrong and they do wrong. Yeah. Right? Then once you're in the community like Coffee in the Morning Club, now you see people talking different to their spouse. You know, one of the things that one of our other couples who was around us was saying was, for the first time, he was around a husband who spoke lovingly to his spouse, to his wife. And that he had never seen that before. Like that thing changed the way he thought marriage was supposed to be, simply because he beheld someone else, a husband, speaking to a spouse in a manner that was loving and caring and communicated to her in a way that was affectionate. It changed the way he saw marriage. That's what we need to see. He began to believe that he could be that particular type of husband. Once he believed that, then he started becoming it. Once he believed it, he started becoming. Right? That's the next phase. So you're gonna be in a community, an environment, a culture that's gonna foster you believing that you can master husband, or you can master wife, or you can master mechanics of marriage. You can master the skills of love. You're gonna believe that. Now you start believing that, you're gonna start speaking different, you're gonna start thinking different, now you're gonna start doing different. Right? You start becoming. That's the whole process of becoming. Right. And then lastly, you become a blessing. You become a blessing, which is the ultimate calling for your marriage, is to be a blessing to other marriages. And that's why we call Coffee in the Morning community, so that other couples can be a blessing to other couples. Yeah. We can combat this divorce culture that we have going on in our society, and we can see society transform because the nucleus of every society is the home. The nucleus of the home is the marriage.
I think so much of the importance of culture and what we've established in the Coffee in the Morning Club is more about taking the attention off of mainly focusing on the information, because it's a student's mindset. That's part of the reason why I said question in the first place. When you get into the discipleship mindset, you realize that all of our being, body, mind, and spirit, absorbs. Mm-hmm. We're constantly learning, constantly absorbing, constantly reacting to the stimulus of our environment, right? So being a part of a community, a culture where you're constantly seeing, hearing, and even speaking. I mean, being a part of it, you're going to reflect what's around you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so at that point,
that's good. That's good because it is. Because the idea.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
That's good because the idea that God had in mind for man becoming is modeling.
Yeah.
Not gathering information.
Right. That's the point.
It's about modeling. Exactly. It's about modeling. Right. We're naturally modelers by creation. Like we model behavior.
Yeah.
Right. I watch a guy catch a touchdown pass, make two guys miss and race 80 yards for a touchdown. I jump up and I say, Daddy, that's what I want to do when I grow up. That's what I want to do when I grow up. I didn't go out in the front yard and I model what I just saw on TV.
Right.
We model. See what we do. We model what like my Rocky man right now. Mm-hmm. My Rocky man. He run around the house. He's coming to every game and he's going to practice watching me and Dad's coach. Right. And Dez is very animated when he coaches. He's pointing, he's doing this, he's going up and down the bench, and he's coaching. Well, you say, you go home, we go home right now, you say, Rocky, coach. He get up and he go down, he run around up through the room, he start pointing like this. He's modeling.
Wow.
We're talking about a year and a half. He's a year and a half. He sits across from us, and he sits there intently watching us.
He's absorbing all.
He's going to model that behavior. See, that's the importance of community.
Yeah.
When you're able to see couples loving each other in a manner, when you're able to see a husband show meekness and gentleness toward his wife, when you're able to see a husband honoring and cleaving to his wife, when you see a wife showing her subjection and her respect and her honor for her husband, you see her following him and supporting him and strengthening him, you can't help but model that behavior.
That's right.
And that's the difference between a student and a disciple. The disciples, you don't read in the Bible they was walking around with a pen and pad taking notes.
Right.
You don't read that in the Bible.
Right.
No, they was watching him intently.
Yeah.
If that's you, bid me to come. You walking on the water, I want to walk on the water.
What do you say?
Come on, man. No big deal. I intend for you to do this. Right. See, it's about modeling. And community gives people the opportunity to see a certain behavior and then go and model that behavior. That's what's important. I can talk to you and give you books and notes and all that stuff about my life, but there's no replacement for you spending time with me and being around me and seeing me and watching my movements and watching my gestures and watching my responses and watching how I react to what goes on when it comes to it. There's no replacement for that. That's the whole idea behind the gathering of the church in the first place. In Hebrews, the 12th chapter, chapter 10, verse 24 through 25, it talks about not forsaking the assemblies of ourselves together as a matter of some is, but encouraging or exhorting one another unto good works. Unto good, Mr. 24 verse. It says, let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works. Right? That's behavior. So the gathering is centered around demonstrating behavior in front of the newbies, in front of the young ones, in front of those who need transformation. Is demonstrating behavior so they can see that behavior. Like, I want to act like that. I want to love like that. I want to look like that. I want to feel like that. Right? That's why the Coffee in the Morning community is the best community for you and your marriage to be transformed, which is the last. Being a blessing is about empowering and being transformed. It's about transformation. Beholding is about transformation. As we behold the beauty of the Lord, as we behold the beauty of your marriage, as we behold the beauty of your husbandry, as we behold the beauty of your wifery, as we behold the beauty of it, now you'll have other wives wanting to emulate that, wanting to model that. You're gonna have other husbands wanting to model that. Man, I want to model your husband. I want to follow that, right? They need to see it though.
I love this. The reason being is because you go on social media and you see how people comment certain pictures of couples and say like relationship goals.
Right.
And it's so interesting because you're seeing something that you want, but you don't really know how to get it yourself. You know? So I think that this is really good because a lot of people want this hashtag relationship goals, but in order to have that, you have to have the skills necessary to do it. So I think that Coffee in the Morning Club will have people get to that relationship goal that, or even further than they think, because we actually get people further than they think. So
they think it's about going to read it in the book. It don't happen like that, right? That's part of the process. Don't get me wrong, but you have to read it. You have to see it. You have to see it. You got to read it. You got to say it. You got to think it. And you become it. That's how it all happens. And when you follow that process that Jesus put in place, he came, he gathered, he modeled, he empowered, he went home, right? He created a community that people can see him up close and personal. And that's what our Coffee in the Morning Club, this community is all about. It's about seeing up close and personal, being able to behold. Again, that word behold speaks of to intently look at with a purpose, to want to learn, to want to understand, to want to glean, to want to gather as much from that particular experience as you possibly can. We talked about, Jesus talked about abiding in me. Except my words abide in you and you abide in my words. You can't do anything in life. Life was designed to be multiplied and to be manifested through abiding. The idea of permanently planting yourself. That's another thing. We offered our Coffee in the Morning community. It's $59 to be a part of this community. Mm-hmm. And we expect you to be there for a whole year. Right? We want you to be there for that year so that you can plant yourself. It's not about coming in and gleaning off something for 2 weeks and then breaking out. No, you ain't gonna get nothing like that. Transformation ain't gonna come like that. You have to plant yourself. You have to plant yourself. The scripture says, they that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the course of our God. You want to flourish on the outside, then you got to be planted on the inside. You got to plant yourself in the coffee in the morning community so that your marriage can flourish when you're not in the community, right? And that's the idea behind making the investment in your marriage, in your future, so that you can see the payoffs down the line. Making a measly $59 investment for the next 5 years so that the next 50 years of your life and your marriage can be peaceful, harmonious, pleasant communication, sexually sensational, all those things that go along with being a part of the coffee in the morning community. That's what it's all about. Making a permanent decision to abide in a community that's going to be beneficial to you in the long run.
That's good. Any other thoughts?
We haven't asked Caitlin a question today.
That's okay, we're out of time.
No. Conveniently.
Yeah. No? No
Not
thoughts?
good.
Okay. Well, that is it for this one, for our Coffee in the Morning Club. And I'm sure we're going to have more, right, Papa D? About Coffee in the Morning Club?
Yeah. We gotta make people aware. I think awareness is one of the first phases of people being able to gather in the community that they need to gather. People aren't aware that there is a community that they can go and have their marriage, whether you engage, married 3 to 5 years, married 25 years, a community where they can go and be around other like-minded couples that's desirous for this, then they won't know, they won't find it. So we gotta make people aware that there's a community out there that's going to enable them to get to where they want to go as far as their marriage is concerned.
Awesome. And when can they kind of see what's going on with us, with the website and signing up
Well,
and everything?
we're really ready to launch this thing. I'm ready to just dive in and we'll start. We may have to start off ugly, then we'll make it pretty later, But I'm ready to just dive in, and we'll be talking more about that as soon as next week. My expectation is to, when we come back next week, to be telling people where they can go and see the offer to become a part of this community.
Awesome. Okay. So then, check us out. We'll be coming to your community soon. Until then, be blessed, be safe, and keep loving on purpose.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what.